Did did I just have the best flight of my life? Hi there, my name is Kevin. This channel came from a love of traveling, a love of the full process and the journey itself. I feature airline trip reports and high-end hotel reviews from all over the world. My reviews aren't sponsored by airlines or hotels, so you can be sure to get my unbiased opinion. Am I an expert? You can decide. Am I fair? Yeah, I am. Let's get into it. Welcome to Bangkok, in the home stretch on the way to the massive Suvarnabhumi airport to the east of the city. If you'd like to know where I found these flights, what I paid for them, or my next 5 videos in queue, please check out the description below. Opened in 2006, Suvarnabhumi Airport is the largest terminal project ever constructed in a single phase, and is currently the world's 4th largest terminal overall. In 2019, the airport ranked 19th in the world for passenger traffic, with over 65 million passengers. For context, New York's JFK had 62 million, and Singapore's Changi had 68 million in the same year. Especially if you're flying economy, this is one airport though, where I'd always recommend arriving in plenty of time. Enough about Bangkok though, let's talk about this absolutely incredible flight. You probably saw the score already, it got a 99. That's the highest I've ever given to a flight, so you know it's gonna be good today. I booked this ticket, which continues on to London through Air Canada's Aeroplan. And the main purpose of this ticket became the next flight, which I'll talk a little bit about later. Check-in here in Bangkok was seamless, and in no time I was off to the priority line for security and immigration. So, yes, I know, you know already, but this flight was not paid for by Oman Air, and they had absolutely no knowledge of me being on board. You'd imagine content like this must be funded somehow, and that's where your subscriptions, likes, and comments all come into play, as they genuinely do help the channel grow, which of course means more content for you. I also have my Patreon linked in the description below if you're interested. Either way though, a very genuine thank you for stopping by. I have to imagine that this terminal has the most airline-branded lounges of any airport terminal on Earth. I can't even think of another terminal that has 6, let alone 15. If you ever fly out of Bangkok on a Star Alliance carrier in business class, you could visit 7 different lounges, assuming they were all open. One of the airlines that also has a lounge here is Oman Air, which I've always found to be a bit curious since it's not like they have a huge presence at the airport. The modern Oman Air, as we know it today, was established in 1993, with their first route being between the first and second cities of Oman, Muscat and Salalah. Currently, the airline flies to a total of 51 destinations on their 50 aircraft, with the majority of their traffic being passengers transiting from South and Southeast Asia to the Gulf states and Europe. The lounge here, which I've covered in detail on the channel before, is a solid and consistent choice for comfort, a quiet atmosphere, and a decent food selection. The only thing that it's missing are any views to speak of. In 2007, the Omani government pulled out from the now Bahrain-owned Gulf Air and recapitalized Oman Air, increasing their stake from 33% to 80%, and placed orders for 5 A330s. Those 5 aircraft were really important to the airline's current status as a premium boutique carrier. Those A330s were how I first knew of Oman Air probably 10 to 15 years ago. The business class that they installed on that plane was the least dense configuration, possibly still to this day, of any airline's business class. The seats that they installed were actually first class seats, but without a privacy shell. If you Google Oman Air old business class, which is still flying on a few aircraft today, you'll see what I mean. As we walk to the gate now, we can see our beautiful aircraft for today, a 5-year-old Boeing 787-9. Oman Air introduced the Dreamliners in 2015, along with the new business class featuring one of my favorite seats, the Apex Suites. From 2015 until 2018, the airline invested heavily in their products and announced plans to drastically expand their network and fleet. Since then, they've essentially become the darling of the YouTube aviation world. Underrated has to be the most common word used to describe them, and rightfully so. Boarding began on time, with business class passengers and their loyalty elite passengers given priority access. In 2021, they announced their intention to join the One World Alliance, but that won't be integrated until 2024. I do have to say though, with Alaska Airlines having joined already, and now Oman Air joining, it seems like One World may be getting their mojo back. Let's take a quick look at our flight stats for today. We pushed back bang on time and made our way up to 38,000 feet for a flight of 5.5 hours, which I personally wish was longer, to land in Muscat a full 47 minutes ahead of schedule. Stepping on board, each passenger was greeted by the purser, who was very present on both sides of the business class cabin throughout the flight. Immediately upon walking into the cabin, there's just this sense of lightness. Apex suites have a tendency to make cabins feel closed in, but the desert-inspired color palette here is really used to their advantage. Today, I was in 11 kilo. Let's go to the graphic. Apex suites have a slightly staggered layout on the window sides of the aisle, which enables direct aisle access for all seats, even though the layout is 222. The seat dimensions themselves are pretty impressive, but the insane thing, really insane is the appropriate word, is how long the bed is. 89 inches long. Yes, you heard that correctly. Almost 7.5 feet long. 227 centimeters, 4.5 Dreamliner windows long. On Latam's bulkhead seats, I said that there was enough room to square dance. Here, there's enough room to do the electric slide. Keep in mind though, only the non-bulkhead, direct window seats have these dimensions. While the other seats are perfectly respectable in length, the windows take the cake. The fit and finish of these seats it's just gorgeous. And almost all of the surfaces were in like new condition despite its 5 years of age. If you have an aisle seat but on the window side, you'll have this extra bit of storage surface space which extends to the wall. One reason the window seat beds are so long is because the foot cubby extends beneath the storage nook. If you're traveling as a couple, the middle seats are fine, but I would still go for an aisle and window seat myself. You can kinda normally talk to your neighbor if you wanted to. And this is the space that you're gonna shimmy through to get to your window seat. If the materials on board are coming off on camera looking pretty premium, well, that's because they very much are. Around 3 miles in front of your seat, you have the entertainment screen and a large footrest, which has a good amount of storage space underneath it, with the blanket, mattress pad, and headphones on top. My flight attendant, who was warm, charming, and gave some of the best service that I've had, came around with a choice of hot or cold towels and a choice of pre-departure drinks. I took a melon and ginger juice, which was easily the best non-alcoholic pre-departure drink that I've ever had. I'm sorry, I'm gushing, I know it. But I had been looking forward to flying Oman Air for a very long time. And building up anticipation like that, it's a dangerous thing, because it's a high bar to reach then. So the fact that they're exceeding my expectations is what an aviation enthusiast's dreams are made of. I'm writing this script 6 weeks after my flight, and I swear my fingers cannot move fast enough. There was a nice bit of storage near the aisle passage, which is sometimes lacking in Apex suites. Leather-bound menus were passed out, and I was gently testing out the dimensions of the literature pocket. It does fit, but be careful not to scratch your laptop. All of the bedding felt luxurious, and the mattress pad had a fair bit of padding. The blanket was substantial and soft and reminded me a bit of the Etihad blanket, which I love so much, but without the soft fuzzy side. The pillow could have been a little bit firmer, I'll admit, but it was still nice and plush. Next to the seat was the remote for the TV, as well as some basic volume and brightness controls. Next to the seat was a bit more storage, but I don't really trust myself to put something there and then not forget it when I leave the plane. There was also a universal plug and a couple of USB ports. Finally, on the opposite side, the end of the armrest has all of your seat controls, which does actually make it a bit awkward, because that essentially means that you need to be sitting in the seat to put it into full bed mode. So make sure that you do it like the cabin crew do, and put the mattress pad on while the seat is still upright. We pushed back with the beautiful Mahan Air A340 in view, and the safety video began. Arabic coffee and dates were passed around. We made a quick taxi to the runway and lined up. The spool up, takeoff, and airport stats are coming up next. And yes, you read that right. Thai Vietjet is currently the largest airline by number of weekly flights at Suvarnabhumi Airport. I was as surprised as you are. We made our way over the Burmese coastline, and one of the better meal services that I've ever had was about to begin. The tray table is a very nice size and plenty sturdy, but you're going to be kinda trapped once you put it out unless you're a professional contortionist. Inside the very premium menu binder, we find our wine list and full menu, which I'll show you in detail in a moment. But best before the meal to select a movie. It's not the most extensive selection on Earth, but it will certainly get you through a few flights without a problem. Or you could just be like me and just keep it on the moving map the entire time. Drink service, the order for which was taken prior to takeoff, began shortly after takeoff. Last few details to cover. The headphones were fine, but nothing that great. Over your shoulder was a spot to hang them, as well as a reading light. And finally, in between the seats is a partition which can be raised and lowered. Linens were laid and the Amuse was served. We had a scallop poached in lemongrass and saffron, served on top of a coriander mint sauce and topped with tobiko. If this is a true taste of what's to come, I was in for a treat. Here's the full menu. Note that the entire menu is a la carte and dine on demand if you'd like, though the majority of the cabin did eat right after takeoff. The red price tags are a sample of current US retail prices for each bottle. Then the tables were set. The attention to detail throughout the flight was next level stuff. I love the mountain motif, which is repeated on much of the china. I've never flown with Oman before, so I needed to of course start off with the Mezze and put it to the test. There were 3 other starters on offer though. As for what's in front of me, everything was meticulous and delicious. But let's forget about all of that for a second and just focus on the prawn kebab. That was the best shrimp I think that I've ever had. I have this weird reaction when I eat something that is like over the top delicious. I start laughing a little bit. Happens like, I don't know, once a year. Happened today. I switched to a Sauvignon Blanc for the main dish, and of course I managed to pick the cheapest bottle on the menu. For the main, I chose what was, I thought, the most Omani dish on the menu. Sayadia fish served with rice, with peppers, pomegranate, shallots, eggplant, lemon, roasted pine nuts, and Sayadia sauce. It was incredible. And finally for dessert, I went with the sour cherry and lemon tart. The presentation was a little bit too busy for my taste, and the canned peaches detracted from how good the tart itself was, but I'm really nitpicking here. Beverage number 4 was in order, and I needed to stay awake until around 4 a.m. Bangkok time when I'd get to London, so I had an iced Americano, which was delightfully a real Americano. Let's check out the pristine bathrooms. Honestly, it looks like they've never been used. On offer were dental kits and Amuse products. And I do believe this was my first ever Quadfecta hands-free bathroom. All they needed was a hands-free soap dispenser. And yes, Quadfecta is a word, I just looked it up. This flight got a 99 out of 100, so how on earth did they lose a point? Well, their amenity kit, or lack thereof. Nothing was proactively handed out, so I asked my flight attendant, and he politely said, yes, they had something, but he gave me eyes that said, oh, he's not going to like this. I honestly thought it was just a pair of socks, so I put it in my bag and forgot about it. After carrying it through 8 countries, when I got home, I realized that there was more inside, but not that much more. Oman Air doesn't offer premium economy, but if they did, I think this would be the perfect amenity kit for that. But when you gotta compare it to how great everything else is, this falls short. Now onto the magic of this seat. You can adjust the depth of the seating surface. In my experience, good seats are 20 to 21 inches deep. Ones that might cause fatigue for me are 18 inches or less. This one expands from 19 to 23 inches deep. As someone who flies a lot, I really cannot tell you how welcome, important, and appreciated touches like this are. Now, let's take a look at this near-famous bed. It was so long that even with my ultra-wide lens, I couldn't get a photo of the entire thing. If you don't believe the measurements, feel free to Google how wide is 4.5 Dreamliner windows. When sitting on the very edge of the seat, I could truly barely touch the leg rest. No joke, these business class beds are a full 8 inches longer than Oman Air's first class bed. And yes, my next flight to London is in their damn near secret first class product. The crew came around with another round of towels, and this flight was very sadly coming to a close much faster than I would have liked it to.
Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. From the flight deck, this is your first officer, Lala Blushi speaking. On temperature recorded in Muscat is 28 degrees Celsius. We shall be descending a few minutes from now. Thank you for choosing Oman Air. Wish you a pleasant stay.
As we approached Muscat, I knew that the airport was ahead of us and the city was on the left side, so I thought I was going to miss out on any views. So I pulled some strings, and I got the captain to give us a grand tour before landing. Enjoy the beautiful views and the landing. So, you got it. You heard that I kinda enjoyed this flight. In all seriousness, if they flew to the US, I don't even care where, but New York please. Actually, if someone's listening, Newark would be the best option. Anyway, if they flew to the US, I would be one hell of a loyal customer. And then it was all over. Don't worry too much though. Now I'm off to the first class lounge. Life is good and this airport is beautiful. Alright, let's get into the flip-flop score. Quite simply, and I gotta say, it's really hard for me to say this, but I do think up until this point, this was my favorite flight of all time. Please hit that subscribe button and join me next time for the full Oman Air first class experience to London.